Ethnic Jew Slasher Review.
Okay, first matchup, round 4. Here we are again. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974.
What quadrant is this? Hold on.
This is the
Quadrant?
upper right hand, or the upper left hand quadrant.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and this is, I believe, the finals of that quadrant, right, Mikey?
Yeah, 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the champion of the upper right or upper left hand quadrant, which is the 70s quadrant.
We're not
All
about
right.
to have quadrant champions. What the hell is that?
Well, they do that in the NCAA tournament. They cut down the net when they win the thing to go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
Moving on. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 going up against Halloween.
All right, well, let's just fucking get this over with. You assholes are going to do it again. This is fucking Halloween, but I know what you're going to do. Just fucking do it.
Mikey might have changed his mind. He was on the fence last time.
No, Mikey was arguing last night. Like, listen to this cat.
Here we go. God damn it. Thanks, Allie.
I know which way you're going to vote. We know which way this is going to go. This is
All
what
right.
Mikey says last night, right? He says that Texas Chainsaw Massacre has a more iconic opening scene than
No.
Halloween.
Did not say that.
Oh, is that what was the fight?
Nope. No, that is not what I said.
Well, I wasn't there because I was at a concert, which is the only reason I can even imagine you got so out of pocket.
The reason Rob knows because he was at a damn concert is because Allie and her big ass
Allie.
mouth
Huge clown penis.
sitting there snitching on me in a group chat while we're having a damn private conversation. Disgusting actions. But that is not true. We were going back and forth about the Halloween Texas Chainsaw thing. God damn it, lo and behold, here we are. We're just naming things of which one's better, going back and forth and having the debate. And opening scene came up. And one of the arguments that Will and Allie had for the Halloween opening scene is it's iconic. Yes, it is more iconic than the opening of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because Texas Chainsaw's opening scene was the dude on the radio talking and that mummified body. I said it was better. And it was better. It was creepier.
It's not better.
It was better. All they had was someone walking slowly through a house and then stabbing a
In
girl.
a single shot, Mikey.
There were 2 shots.
There were actually 3 shots. There were 2 cuts in there. But again, that
Lying
also,
motherfucker.
that also proves how genius it is because you can't
How?
tell.
But you knew. We both knew. There's 3
But
shots
you
now.
can't
Okay.
tell. And it's so brilliantly cut together. And it gives us that killer POV. And they put the mask on and we see through the eye holes of the mask. Oh, it's so fucking good. And you're talking about a fucking John Larroquette reading a thing on the radio or whatever.
I am talking about someone putting a mask over a camera and walking through a house and stabbing a woman. You get titties though in the open scene. I'll give it that. You do get titties. That is always a plus. But you get a mask over a camera, walking through a house and stabbing a woman that you don't even see the stabbing. You don't even see it. It's off camera. As opposed to, yes, John Larroquette, iconic voice, reading that shit, super scary. You see the scene of those mummified bodies on that stone. And dude, it was creepy. It was like, what? That's what you see when you turn this movie on. If no one's ever seen it before, you got to be like, what the fuck is that? You're
out of your
locked in.
mind.
And then soon following after that, even though it wasn't the opening scene, you get the hitchhiker. Dude, honestly, this is very hard. I love Halloween. I just put it over The Exorcist and all these other movies. But again, when 2 things are this great, you got to look at certain things. And the degree of difficulty in creating the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is harder than creating a slasher in the suburbs, Rob. You got to admit that's true.
Not when the suburb is Pasadena and you're making it look like Illinois and it looks great. It's not, this isn't a Nightmare on Elm Street where there's fucking palm trees in Ohio.
Fuck Ohio for the record.
And they had to, you know what they did to get those leaves on the ground, by the way?
What? Dump them on the ground?
They had to collect leaves because there weren't leaves on the ground and go in bags and pour them on the ground. And then after each scene, they had to collect them, put them back in the bags and take them to the next location.
Look, I got a landscaper. All right. I don't pay him that much because his job's not that hard. I just too lazy to do it my damn self. I watch him do it all the time. It's not
By
that
the way,
bad.
Halloween didn't have the budget of $11 million that Alien had. Halloween had $300,000, $325,000.
That's still double what Texas Chainsaw had.
Right, and they made a movie that's 3 times as good.
No, that's not fair,
Okay.
man.
That's a little silly.
Halloween is better shot, it's better acted, it's better written, it's better directed, and it has a better score.
It has a better score. I'll give it that.
It does have a better score.
It's better acted too.
By how much, though? What's his name is really the only shining star in that movie. Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis was not Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode that we've come
She's
to know.
still very good in that movie.
She's mid at best.
And it doesn't have Franklin.
So what?
But Franklin doesn't die in it. I'm just saying.
There are so many iconic shots and iconic moments in Halloween, things that became slasher movie standards.
I still got to go Texas Chainsaw, Rob. I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead. I knew you guys were going to do this. Like, I'm not. It's fucking stupid that we have to do this every time because you guys are so wrong. But
Rob, like I said, they're bold. If I had to sit down and watch one of these, it would be Halloween. 7 to 8 times out of 10, it would be Halloween.
Oh, see, that's where we differ because I would also watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre more times.
Halloween is number 2 on my list. TCM is number 16.
What was number 1 on that list again?
Shape of Water.
See, it's a fraudulent list. It doesn't matter where you have either. Wait, where'd you have Texas Chainsaw?
16.
God damn. Okay. Yeah, dude, I don't
Just
like
below
doing
Hereditary.
Oh, dear Lord.
Good God, man.
Fraudulent list.
Burn that list. You know what? Come back next week with a new 100 list. We're going to go over your list on Patreon next week. Your revised list. Rob, I hate it too, man. I don't like it at all, but.
All right. Well, you're going to have to deal with Will, not me.
Will's going to be really pissed. And Will isn't even. Allie left out all the things Will was saying. He said he enjoys most Halloween movies over the original.
Yeah, he said that before.
Yeah.
I believe that's how he ended up at the bottom of the power rankings.
Whoops.
But, you know.
Texas Chainsaw. Is it a clean sweep, Cat?
Well, it's not a clean sweep because I voted for Halloween.
If we just piss Rob off enough, he'll switch votes. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw all the way.
Okay. Rob, I'm sorry. I really do hate that this keeps happening. I truly do, man.
I think next year when we're brainstorming how to set up quadrants, we should start with, will this put us in a situation where we have to revisit Halloween versus Texas Chainsaw?
We're not doing quadrants next year. We're gonna figure out a way to divide it up into 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lucky me.
Yeah, I don't even know what an 8th is called, but we'll figure it out.
All right. Oh man.
Octodrant. Huh? I'm inventing words. It's fine. We can move on.
What are you saying that? What the hell? Oh man, this sucks. Balls. Candyman going up against Silence of the Lambs.
Candyman. And this is the lower left-hand quadrant champion. And it's Candyman.
It sure is Candyman, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And this one's rough. You know what the biggest thing is? Like, this is really a fucked up matchup for Silence of the Lambs regardless, because what it had against most of these movies is it was so higher brow and high end, but Candyman is like a sophisticated movie as well.
Yeah.
It is.
So it's like it doesn't even have that to lean on.
And also the cultural issues from Candyman. Yeah. I'm not going to say that they were perfect in the original, but they have aged a lot better than the ones in Silence of the Lambs.
Yes. Yeah. To me, yeah, it's not even really a question. It's Candyman. It's just an amazing movie. Silence of the Lambs is great, but come on.
But it's not Candyman.
Yeah. Who would you rather sleep with, Candyman or Hannibal Lecter?
Hang on. Hopkins, he handsome man though.
He ain't Tony Todd.
That's fair. He's not. That he is not. Tony Todd too. If anyone's not following him on Twitter, very interactive, very fun. He's very active, and he posted a picture of himself today. And man, even in his older age, that's a handsome sumbitch, man.
Yes, he is. He is.
Yeah.
And he's a great follow. A lot of times he posts music suggestions and stuff, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because he has great taste in music.
Yeah. At Tony Todd 54. He follows me too, Rob. So he's a very,
Dude, I think I told you this
good
story.
taste.
I got an alert on my phone at like 2 a.m. one night. I was like, what the fuck is that? And I picked it up, and I don't know why my phone wasn't on silent, because my phone basically comes out of the box and immediately goes on silent. But for some reason, I had it turned on. So I heard the alarm. I was like, what the fuck is that? And I picked it up, and it was an alert from Twitter saying that Tony Todd had followed me back.
How good of a feeling is that?
It was the most exciting thing ever.
Yeah. That happened a day before my birthday. Late as well.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was like, oh my God. Yeah. Great follow on Twitter, though. Very, very fun. Damn, though, man. Silence of the Lambs out. This is usually in the brackets when you get down to like it's really the next round that really gets to the nitty gritty of the big ones. These are the biggest ones from each decade. So it's like we're getting that early here.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. Speaking of titans in the horror genre, next matchup, The Thing, 1982, going up against A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984.
It's The Thing.
Ooh.
Uh,
Ooh. Don't do this to me, you guys.
Kat, you already know. Though.
I know. I can feel it coming, but I don't like it.
Listen, Kat, I'm the only one of us with a Freddy tattoo, and I've already said it's The Thing. So, I mean, come on.
That's just for a girl. You don't even have a Thing tattoo. Look, I was ready to put The Thing over Cujo. Honestly, I don't know if I'd have put Nightmare on Elm Street over Cujo. That's the level I'm at with that movie. So
what I'm hearing is that you think that The Thing is better than Nightmare on Elm Street.
No, definitely not. I'm not putting either one. I didn't put The Thing over it either. That was you two. So I'm definitely not putting The Thing over Nightmare. I mean, it's no secret here. I'm going Nightmare.
Man, I don't want to do it, but it is. It's got to be Nightmare.
It doesn't have to be, though, Kat. There is The Thing is a nearly perfect film. There's nothing wrong with it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Nightmare.
Really, the effects haven't aged well. There are
They
fucking
haven't aged
palm
that
trees in
bad.
Ohio. We've talked about that already.
Yeah, the palm trees in Ohio is a little weird. I don't know.
I mean, look if you look at like the effects in The Thing still look great today.
Okay, I will say if I'm doing like a point by point comparison, if I'm going like performances, story, editing, like down the line, the first thing, like the biggest thing that The Thing has going for it over Nightmare is effects. I fucking love the effects from The Thing.
Right. And the thing,
they're so good.
The effects in The Thing still look great today. Nightmare hasn't aged great. It hasn't aged great. It's got some of that weird 80s, like at the end when he disappears or whatever, it looks kind of 80 goofiness. It's got that dummy being pulled through a window at the end. It looks like shit. Never looked good to begin with. It's got The Thing has a much better score. The music is so much better. It looks better. It just, the performances are better.
And it's very atmospheric. It's very isolated.
To be fair as well, you're talking about a movie that had a $10 to $15 million budget compared to Nightmare that had one. And give Wes Craven money, as he's proven, he can work magic with it, as we've seen in this franchise and in Scream when he had some money to work with. He made his movie and Freddy Krueger as a character better. I understand we're talking about the original, but dude, $1 million? That's not a lot for a movie that you're basing. Dude, talk about the effects. I mean, we got them later on in the franchise more so, but dude, Freddy was still in and out. Like they didn't look bad. Johnny Depp on that bed, that looked dope.
There are some that look good, but a lot of them haven't aged well. That's what I'm saying.
There was also more effects in that movie than in The Thing, though.
I don't know about that.
Maybe.
I like the story for Nightmare better, though, and I like the characters better. I like Freddy.
I mean, I can't.
Scary.
Look, I can't argue that. I don't like the story better, but that's just a personal choice thing. Like, to me, I think The Thing is a much more original story than Nightmare. I feel like Nightmare is essentially besides the dream demon part of the killer being a dream demon, is essentially just a standard slasher movie about high school kids whose parents are never around.
I mean, it kind of is, but I really like the dream demon aspect of it.
Right, and I get
also,
that. That's something new that we hadn't seen in slashers before. I get that, but I don't know. I mean, the thing is,
I love The Thing. I don't want it to sound like I'm throwing like the story for The Thing under the bus, because I really like the premise. I think it was really well executed. If you lined up all of the characters from Nightmare on Elm Street and all of the characters from The Thing, I feel like the person that I'm most attached to is Nancy, and I feel like it kind of sucks that that the character that I like came from the column that isn't like tightly focused on an isolated group of characters, you know? Like, I feel like the psychological horror movie aspect of The Thing should have had the stronger characters, and I don't feel like it did.
I think that's the fault of it being an all-male cast.
Yeah.
Because they're all these sort of researchers in the middle of nowhere. There's this sort of like weird machismo thing that happens with them. They're closed off. I mean, but I think that there is depth in certain characters. Like, I think McCready has a bit of depth.
McCready does have a bit of depth.
I think we see Wilford Brimley's character have that sort of weird snap and everything. It's one of the greatest moments ever when he's like, I'm fine, I want to come back in. And there's a fucking noose that he's made hanging behind him. Fucking great.
And like, it's one of those things, there's enough depth that when I'm watching The Thing, it doesn't bother me. Like, it doesn't feel like there's something that's lacking. But when I'm comparing it to Nightmare on Elm Street, I wish it were there.
Yeah. I mean, look,
that would be the thing that would push it over.
All right, pick Nightmare and be wrong if you want. That's fine. What I'm taking away from this is Kat hates John Carpenter.
Wow.
She kicked out Halloween. Now she's kicking out The Thing for no fucking reason. Both of them better movies.
I also don't feel like I kicked out Halloween. I feel like my stance on that one has been made clear. I feel like Mikey kicked out Halloween.
But still, your stance has always been that you hate John Carpenter.
Wow.
When we did Murder by Numbers, you didn't even pick a John Carpenter movie as the number one Halloween movie. So, I mean,
that's a very good point. I didn't think that.
I picked one with his score. He did the score for the one that I picked.
He did.
Yeah, I'm going Nightmare.
Oh,
wrong again. Jesus.
Rob, I'm sorry, man.
I hate to do it.
All right. Last one.
The champion of the lower right-hand quadrant.
Yeah, this is the last matchup for the night. And the next week we have the semifinals and the finals.
The Thing, by the way, is number 4 on my list.
That's too high, man.
A Nightmare on Elm Street is number 54.
How do you sleep at
night?
How
is it that low?
I just don't love it the way people do.
That's Mr. Freddy tattoo.
It's not even my highest Nightmare movie. New Nightmare is at 48.
And that's your highest one, and it's still in the 40s, dude. God damn it. Oh, all right. The last matchup, I hate your list so much. You don't understand. Last matchup, Let the Right One In, 2008 versus Saw, 2004.
Mikey, you know you're deciding this one because it's clearly Let the Right One In for me.
Guys, why? I really can't bitch, I guess. Kat was in a very fucked up situation not too long ago.
Just now with The Thing.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, man. You guys are really doing this to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
And I'm going to throw this out here
Please
again.
help.
Because I feel like I have to. I get a little bit defensive about Saw because there's so much unnecessary Saw hate. I feel like, and I'm going to start this by saying Let the Right One In is a better made movie in a lot of ways. It, like, the cinematography is better. It has some very iconic scenes. It does what it's supposed to do beautifully. Saw, on the other side of that, it's just a story that I think, and it had that reputation for being like crazy torture porn. I don't think it was. The first one just wasn't. Like, it had a psychological tightly focused story that it told very, very well. They had no budget, they had no time, and they threw together just like this indie horror gem that changed the scene moving forward. I think it's great. I really like the story that they tell. And when it comes down to it, again, just on a premise level, I like the story that Saw tells more than I like the story that Let the Right One In tells. That's just not an applicable fear to me past like isolated themes from it. Whereas being stuck, like losing control, having, you know, this kind of blame put on you, and then asking yourself like, what kind of choices have I made? What kind of a person am I? There's just something about the premise of Saw that I find very relatable and appealing and scary, you know, because and people make fun of this in the later installations, later on in the French, where it's like John Kramer will pick you for irritating him on the elevator or whatever, and it's true, but it's also like in this first one especially, it asks us if we're good enough. And that really just on a fundamental level, I think has a lot of potential to be scary. And I think they nailed it.
I will say this: Let the Right One In is number 8 on my list of top 100. Saw is not on my list at all.
God damn. Was Saw 2 on it?
Huh? No.
But, jeez.
There are no Saw movies on my list. As far as Kat's lack of fear for the premise of and themes and Let the Right One In, Kat is a child. We know this. So she doesn't have to worry about it.
It was a movie
fears.
With children. It was a movie about children.
Yes, but a lot of the fears are about are played out, or at least one of the themes that's played out is about aging and being replaced, and those sort of things. And clearly, you don't have to worry about that because you are in that point in your life where you still feel like you're never going to get old and you're always going to be cool and young and hip.
I don't feel like I've ever been any of those things.
And that's fine. Also, I don't feel bothered.
Really
I don't feel bothered by Saw at all. I wouldn't think any of those things if I was in that situation. I would never think, have I been good enough? I think this guy's a fucking asshole. Why is he doing this to me? Which is really sort of the big fundamental problem that I have with a lot of the Saw movies is that John Kramer's just a dickhead. I don't want to rehash or repeat the whole thing that I went through the last time I talked about an episode or two ago or whatever, when we talked about Let the Right One In, about just how heartbreaking I find the story and how perfectly executed I think the movie is. I think that this movie touches on themes that are much deeper than anything that Saw has ever even thought about. And in my closing argument, Saw is just cheap torture porn trash. There you go. Thank you. I will not be taking questions.
That's not fair. All right. These two movies, again, we're saying it for a third time, so I guess they could be a little different. But for argument's sake, couldn't be any different yet again.
Yes, one's really great and the other one's Saw.
Well, see, that's the thing, man. You can't compare them on the, well, Saw didn't get to, Let the Right One In level. Because they weren't trying to do that. That's like, comparing Jordan's 3-point percentage to Steph Curry. Like, Jordan didn't shoot threes. Like, that's not what he was trying to do, so how could you compare? I also, how much money did Let the Right One In have? So that being said, you can't really compare that to each other as far as which one got to what level, because Saw was trying to be gritty and Saw was
Let the Right One In had 29 million SEK.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. Let's see what we can figure out here. About 2.7 million.
Okay, so it had double the amount that Saw did, but it's not a huge amount of money difference. But they were just trying to do different things with their money, and this is something that's not brought up with Saw a lot. And to counter what you said, Rob, it's just cheap gore porn and all that stuff.
That was a joke because Kat
no, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, but that's what gets thrown around a lot about Saw. But people forget especially, maybe younger people who haven't been around watching horror from when the original Saw came out and Saw 2. Saw was originally, it was known for the gore, sure. But it was also known for having a really good twist of an ending. And I think they got off the rails with that in 4, arguably 3, where they were just like, how
Not
do you
3.
top?
It was 4.
3 was the beginning of it. As far as the ending, to me, they were just trying to go so grandiose because the endings were like, holy shit. And they lost their way.
Move this in the same way with somebody in a dark room and somebody else slammed the door going game over.
Well,
that's the ending to every single Saw movie.
But after a twist.
Right. But that was this is the first one that did it. The first Saw movie that did it. And then the second one did it. And it was like, holy shit, that's a good ending too. The kid was in the safe and all that stuff.
Well, spoiler alert. Damn, we ain't talking about Saw 2.
I'm just saying. The movie.
Also, I just want to, because Rob has made this argument with me, and before I lose my chance to do it forever, because Rob keeps bringing up scores, Hello Zepp is one of the most iconic horror scores ever. I know a lot of people don't know it by name, but you know that music when you hear it, like that. It's so good. And we got that from Saw, and it's you'll know it, Rob, because it's the song that they play when someone shuts the door and says game over.
What the fuck they call it Hello Zepp for? Why do they just call it game over?
Well, because they call it Hello Zepp because it starts for the first time ever. The first time we ever get that really, really iconic music. It's as we're getting the twist for the first time. It signifies our big mic drop of a twist in a Saw movie. And it's when Zepp is playing his tape. So those are the first words on the track. You're talking about Hello Zepp.
Saying a lot of things that I don't understand.
The score is good. Saw had a really good score that's aged very well. And I feel like it's worth bringing up because so many of the most iconic horror scores, we kind of went through a phase in horror where it wasn't as much about the score,
Mm-hmm.
It's more about the soundtrack. And I think that this was a really good return to form, music wise.
Yeah, we had a shitty time period where everything ended with a Creed song.
That's true.
But I will say this, Mikey, and I will agree with Kat, I guess, that this Saw scores, but I don't remember either score. But if you look, we knocked out The Thing, we looked out Halloween, and we knocked out Halloween, both movies that had better scores than the movie they were against. So clearly Saw has to lose if it has the better score.
Yeah, that's how we're doing it.
I will also say this. When I watch Let the Right One In, I think about it for days. When I watch Saw, I forget about it the minute that I turn it off. It's not to me, Let the Right One In. I watched Saw
20 years ago and I'm still thinking about it and talking about it on a podcast today.
I'm talking about it on a podcast today too, and I don't want to be. And to me, there's a depth to the work in Let the Right One In that doesn't exist in many movies. It's a Train to Busan level film. We just don't see this in the horror genre very often.
Rob, I'm letting you know now. I'm leaning Saw, dude. And I
know
say
you are because you don't like smart stuff.
I might not, dude. I might not, bro. Honestly. Because Saw, honestly, people don't give the first 2 Saw movies as much credit as they do because they had that inner turmoil between the two dudes trying to cut their fucking feet off. And they had the whole story with, the trying to figure out where they are and the police trying to get there and then the twist in the end and all that shit in between. Dude, take yourself back to that original Saw, man. It was really fucking good. It wasn't just torture.
It's not better than Let the Right One In, though. It's just not. I mean, it's objectively not a better film.
It was more entertaining on a horror level.
It might be more entertaining, but it's not better.
It's more entertaining. I think it's scarier.
It might be scarier, but it's not better.
But
it's better at what it was. They were not running the same race, though, is the thing. They just weren't.
That's you're making an excuse for why it's not as good.
I think it is as good in as far as sitting down, watching a movie. Am I entertained? Do I like what I seen? I think it's just as good. This is a really fucking hard pick.
If
Honestly,
that's the criteria you want to use to judge it on, that's fine. But it's just not a better movie.
I think it is a better movie.
It doesn't look as good. It's not as
hang on.
deep. It's not as interesting.
I'm not going to argue that, like, shot for shot, the cinematography of Saw is as good as Let the Right One In. Let the Right One In has some beautiful shots. It's got the pool scene. Like, I get it. But Saw has such a style. Like, it has such a firm, like, consistent style, you know?
Yeah, disgusting ass bathroom style. Who wants that?
Right. That
But it
gritty-
goes, yeah, it's like the main scene, we've got like that bright, blinding light paired with the like really grimy bathroom. And it's for a really grimy, like deep in the shit story. And then we bounce around. Like we have the police station, which feels very tonally consistent. We have like those green lights for the traps that also feel very consistent and grimy. And like, and even when you go to like the motel or Dr. Gordon's house, you know, like it ties together so well. And visually, it's a very good movie.
But
That's what I'm saying, dude.
But it's not shot as well as Let the Right One In.
I'm not going to say it's shot as well as Let the Right One In, but it does atmosphere so well.
But so does Let the Right One In. Let the Right One In just it's the opposite of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When you talk about how you can feel the heat and everything in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I've talked about that before too. Like it's an experience as much as it is watching a movie, right? Because it's so hot and just oppressive. You can feel the cold when you watch Let the Right One In. Like that cold comes through the TV at you almost, or through the screen, I should say. Or best watch it on TV now.
Yeah, but Saw, I literally went to see Saw 2, and granted it's not Saw 1, but it's same effect. I had someone walk out and they couldn't watch it. A horror fan.
Could they not watch it, or was it just so bad?
Not bad.
No, they almost threw
Because
up.
I wanted to walk out of a lot of fucking movies. I'm telling you that. It didn't have anything to do with not being able to watch it.
No, they gagged.
But that's not, I mean, it's gorier than Let the Right One In, of course.
It's
But there's
not
more
gorier.
to a great movie than just being gory.
But it's beautiful gore in a way. You know, and I've said for years, one of my most quoted things is, I do not like gore for the sake of gore. You're not going to impress me. You're not going to win
But you
points.
say that. You say that, but you don't believe that. I mean, that's not true of you. You like Terrifier. You like all this bullshit that's
Right.
just gore for gore.
But Terrifier and Saw are two franchises that kind of carve their own way with it, where it's now that's their thing. That's what they do. They're not just, I don't know how to explain it. Like you see a lot of these movies that came after Saw where it's just blood and guts. And it's like, okay, well, for what? Like why? Like Art's doing it because that's what Art is, over the top. He's crazy. He's going to do it in a fun way. He's got character to him while he's doing it. Like it's fun to watch him do this shit. You know, and Saw was just, it was the traps. And it's like, well, how the fuck is this going to work? Are they going to make it? All the tension between that. Well, if that happens to what that puppet said is going to happen? What the fuck does that look like? And it looked great. And dude, Saw is really good. The first two Saw movies are really good.
And also there's that whole gore for gore's sake argument, but it's that Texas Chainsaw Massacre effect. In the first Saw movie, it wasn't gore, it was good editing. Like, and I talked about the foot because it's the one that people remember. I think actually the best example of it was the razor wire trap, where there's the maze that the guy has to crawl through.
No, I don't
And
remember
that it's edited so perfectly. Like it's one of those scenes, it's hard to sit down and watch even though you don't see anything, because it's got that very creative, fast-paced editing.
That quick cuts. They started that shit.
Yeah.
And that's not to say a good thing because it ended up getting very overdone and badly done in certain hands, but it was really good here.
I compare it so much to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm gonna really irritate Rob, and I'm gonna compare Saw to The Exorcist instead.
Holy shit.
They've been doing these trends pretty much nonstop for the last 20 years. That they're just trying to make Saw but worse. Like, Quick Cut trend did get out of control really quickly, just like the death trap and the torture porn, and like there were a lot of trends from Saw that came out really terrible in all of the movies that followed Saw, but Saw did it right. Like, they nailed it.
And I'll even go as far as saying it got carried away and too far within the franchise of Saw. But you can't first movie, you know, it wasn't too much. It was like that perfect amount, and they went a little further in 2, and that was crazy. Rob, I'm sorry, man. I can't believe I'm on this side of a Saw argument this late in Murder Madness myself.
I've been voting for Saw. I think I've voted for Saw in every single round. I get it. This time you're wrong. Saw is not a better movie than Let the Right One In. It is not.
Saw has beaten the My Bloody Valentine remake. That I went against. Well, no, I think I gave it a pity. I don't remember. I don't remember. But then it got American Psycho. That was an easy one. And it beat out Trick or Treat. Dude, this first Saw movie was nothing to fuck with. Like, this was another one of those reset horror kind of moments because that glow from Scream.
Yeah, but not in a good way.
For Saw, it was.
Reset horror moment to give us a bunch of shitty torture porn movies that were imitating it. Like, that's not a great reset.
That.
But I mean, you can't hold it against Saw that nothing could do Saw as well as Saw.
I can.
It's the Exorcist thing.
I can if you're going to use it in Saw's favor that it was a reset point. If you say it was a reset point, that's fine. But what did it reset us to? Well, it reset us to this, which was fucking terrible.
Yeah, but Saw came back with Saw 2. And Saw 2 was really good. And Saw 3 was, you know, in my opinion, was okay too. It wasn't bad. Like, it was a good movie. It was okay. So it's like, you know, everyone's trying to keep up with it. But, you know, it was a reset point. Rob's right. It wasn't the best of reset points. But, dude, it did breathe air. It got people into theaters to see horror movies again, dude. It did.
All right. But all of that also is outside of the film.
That's true. But the film has to perform, and it has to be a good enough movie to do that. It was my point of bringing it up. You are right to a degree, though, dude. And plus, you're having me go against a book movie, man. You know, why are you shocked right now? As much as
I'm
you
not
are
shocked. As soon as I'm disappointed in Kat, to be honest with you, because deep down, Kat knows Let the Right One In is a better movie.
I don't know that.
You do know that, Kat. You have to know that. Because
I don't know that.
You have a brain and you're an intelligent person, and you have to know that.
Oh, thank you. But no, I don't.
I mean, I understand that you have trouble using it because you're a child, but you know that.
Dude, I can't believe it either. That because you know, like I like Saw a lot, but this deep into the bracket, you would think I would have come across something. Actually, Trick or Treat was one I voted. It would, if I had my way, it wouldn't be here right now. Yeah. Trick or Treat, you know, I'd put over Saw, and honestly, Trick or Treat I'd have put over Let the Right One In too. If you really want to talk about it,
that's just crazy.
But dude, that first Saw movie is really good. I can't fucking believe it either. This is a stunner. But what world do we live in that Rob is mad at Kat mostly for picking Saw in this bracket?
I know, Rob, when we get to these things, Rob always acts surprised or disappointed in me.
Because I expect better from you and I never get it.
Even though I introduced myself to the show as a Saw fan, that's like the fundamental thing people know about me.
But look, there's a difference between, look, I love Friday the 13th Part 6, but when it came time to knock it out, I knocked it out, Kat.
But
that's true.
But Saw, I don't think it was the time to knock it out. I think that time will come.
Of course the time to knock it out was now. What are you talking about?
I don't think that. I think it deserves...
last round.
Kat is the Leah of this show. I swear to God. I always expect her to do better. I'm always like, come on, Kat, just don't suck. And I never get anything good from her.
Wow. no.
It's unfortunate how funny that is.
I'd also like to point out that tonight has been extremely frustrating because in this last round, not a single movie that I picked ended up winning, except Candyman, which was the fucking easiest pick in the world.
I will say I'm not looking at the quadrants right now, so I don't know how it goes, but I
can
feel
tell
like
you how it went. Halloween lost, The Thing lost, and Let the Right One In lost.
Welcome to my treatment in the beginning. Yeah, it sucks. I lost a lot of them early. And that's what we were talking about when we were wrapping up last week, the week before. Sometimes this is better for them to fucking go early, because the stress over each round. And then
what would be better is if I had hosts that had, were able to think, make proper decisions.
Rob, come on, man. That Saw movie's really fucking good, dude.
It's not better than Let the Right One In. I'm not saying it's not good. I voted for it every round until this one. I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I'm saying it's not better than Let the Right One In.
Well, that's what you get then, because like I said, if it was up to me, Trick or Treat, I'd have put over. I put over Saw. So that's what you get, kind of in the long run.
It's not what I get. I did the right thing every time,
dude. And I have no horse in this race. I don't like Saw as much to really care, whether it stays or goes. Same with the Let the Right One In, dude. I enjoyed Saw more. I think they accomplished a lot in that fucking movie.
I also just want to I feel like Saw is the first Saw movie, just to clarify again, we're talking about the original 2004 Saw. I think it deserves to be the champion of the 2000s. It's a good representation of that time in horror.
It's not the best movie from that time, though. And that's what we're talking about now.
What?
It's torture porn crap.
No. It's the good story that can and does sometimes exist under the torture porn crap.
I do see several movies that I would have put over Saw. So, I mean, I don't know.
Listen, there were a couple movies I would have put over Saw, and they all got voted out round one. So here we are.
God damn.
By the way, if I'd had out of all of the things in this quadrant that I would have chosen over Saw, Martyrs also was a good representation of the really good story that can and sometimes does exist under the torture porn crap.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put that over Saw.
Kat wants Martyrs to be the king of the quadrant, Rob.
I'm just saying.
I would have put the movie that Let the Right One In knocked out earlier, Shaun of the Dead, over Saw.
That's another one, too. Well, I don't know. I might have put Saw over Shaun of the Dead, honestly.
That one would have made me cry. So I'm glad we didn't get there.
Yeah, I definitely would have.
No, I think that without looking at the bracket, without having it in front of me, I would imagine there are 3 or 4 movies from this quadrant that I think are a better 2000s movie than Saw. At least 3 or 4.
Devil's Rejects, one of them.
Definitely ain't one of them.
God damn, what a fucking painful, heart-wrenching.
Well, this is what always happens. We get down towards the finals and you guys always make it uninteresting. So here we are, uninteresting again.
Next week, we have Texas Chainsaw going up against Candyman. Oh, boy. And Nightmare on Elm Street going up against Saw.
Same fucking movies we end up with every time.
But honestly, though, is Candyman and Texas Chainsaw really good movies? You know what? Maybe we're looking at Murder Madness. Maybe it would be a good idea for next year. We would pick like a specific objective.
Yeah.
Of each, because then the choices change.
I pitched Killers Playing Uno and nobody wanted to do it.
I completely missed that pitch because I 100% would have voted for that.
That's right. I think Allie did start that one. I jumped on the train. I think you're right about that.
That's gimmick infringement.
Yeah. It all blurs together for me.
I understand that it's frustrating. This has been maybe my favorite year ever of Murder Madness because I like quadrants. But when we go best, it's always going to come down to the same few things. When we do killers, when we have like very specific parameters, where it's like a battle royale situation, like that is kind of where we start to get into the more creative stuff. And even though I'm having a lot of fun doing quadrants, how much I love saying the word quadrant, these movies like are held up on a pedestal for a reason. They're really good, you know?
This might be the hardest year.
I already know what's going to win.
Not really. I don't.
I do, because I know how you two will vote. I know what's going to win.
Well, that brings up another question. Are we going to have listeners on again or not? We haven't decided that yet.
Oh, I don't
Here's
know.
the thing
That
is
does
I
mix it
don't
up a lot.
know 100% how I would vote in a couple of these.
I don't either.
In one of them specifically, I don't know how I would vote. The listeners it's such a double-edged sword, because it's on the one hand, one of the best parts of the bracket is getting to talk to the listeners and having like really chaotic yelling matches with the listeners and seeing the absurd chaos that comes from these finales. On the other hand, and I feel this way about the slashies too, is that when we let the listeners decide things for Slasher Radio, we're the ones that have to carry on having given awards to something that the listeners chose. And sometimes, usually, they're wrong.
Well, I will say also, I've always been for having the listeners on for that final episode of Murder Madness, but I will say that last year, Kat and I would have made a completely different matchup in the finals than what we ended up with, because the
Yes.
listeners swayed the vote.
But this isn't what you and Kat were going to do in the damn finals, man. It's supposed to be for the best one. Still,
Yeah,
even
but we've
best
been here
is
doing this the
subjective.
whole fucking time. The listeners just walk in at the end and change everything.
Because we can't have 4-hour-long episodes, which
It's a
these have
wild
kind of
card.
turned into as it is.
Yeah, I don't know. We can talk about the listener thing off air. We don't need to do it now.
All right, fair enough. But either way, I honestly, right now, looking at this Final Four, I don't know either way. I mean, I have a pretty good idea on one of them. I'm not gonna lie, but one of them, I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. I don't even want to
What
think about it yet.
decades go up against what decades?
70s and 90s versus 80s and 2000
Okay. Ooh, okay.
is going to be the finals. Well, whichever. It's 70s versus 90s and 80s versus 2000.
Ooh, that makes it harder.
It does. It truly does. There's a lot of different ways to look at a lot of different things. But we'll get into that next week. Semifinals and finals. God damn, this thing has been hell. Follow the show on Twitter. I'm sure we will hear about what you guys think. Also on YouTube, a video for the last round for round 3 is out right now. You can go check that out. Also, utilize the comments too. Like some people do, and it's fun, but people have been watching them. But throw in there what you think. If you have any opinions one way or another, anything good, we'll obviously read on the show like we do with the polls. Polls as well. Hop on Twitter @Slasher Radio. We've gotten a good amount of votes, but let us know as well. Greg commented on the Blair Witch one, which was really close. And I believe his exact words were, "What the hell is wrong with people?"
That sounds like Greg.
Yeah, definitely sounds like Greg.
Kick Ghostface in the
dick.
He needs to learn to be more polite like me.
Also, speaking of our YouTube, we're @Slasher Radio on YouTube. We recently got partnered on there, so go give us a subscribe if you are not subscribed already. All interaction and everything else, like the videos, all that stuff, it helps us out a lot. Patreon.com/Slasher Radio also helps us out a lot. Tiers starting as low as $3 a month. There's a free trial, all that good stuff. I'm at Mikey's Dead. You can also check out the other show that I swear to God I'm still doing.
Huge Clown Penis.
With Little Miss Huge Clown Penis, Ali Surreal. We got that Ring episode cooking, guys. You want to stick around to see what we say about the Ring. We're going to see if that holds up eventually. I'm getting caught up on everything, so that's going to be coming soon. That's it for me, Rob. What about you?
You can find me on Twitter @RadioRob123. Listen to the other show that I do with Kat, the Nick fucking Woo Cagecast. That's Nick effing Woo Cagecast in your podcast players. It should have just released our episode on Sunny.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a week behind. I didn't get to last week's yet. You said you were talking. I didn't have to listen to the end, so that means
You don't need to listen.
Shit.
It's the same old stuff
Yeah.
at the end. You don't need to listen to it.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, you guys talking shit about me. That's the same old shit.
When you hear the plug start, you can just turn it off. It's just same. It's boring stuff. Really, just Kat talking about being at a book fair or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me at a book fair. So Yeah, you can find me at AuthorCon, coming up April 12th through the 14th. So in just a couple of weeks. In the meantime, and after that, probably if you're listening to the backlog, you can find me on Twitter at cat_velour, VOLEUR. You can check out my website, catvelour.com.
And I just real quick, an announcement. I'm so disappointed in the way Kat behaved tonight. I'm no longer going to be making an appearance at AuthorCon to sign books at her table.
Wow.
That's that one, as nice as it must be for you, Kat. Yeah, that's kind of fucked up though. Like his hypothetical annoyance isn't even worth it anymore.
Wow.
God
Can I
damn.
still sell the t-shirts with your face?
Well, I mean, yeah, you'll probably sell out pretty quick though, I'd imagine. You might want to do like a lottery for people to get in line for those.
All right, guys, you're not gonna want to miss next week for the semifinals and finals. Good night from Slasher Radio.
All the best of Slasher Radio podcast.